So, hi, it's Carrie from KDS Insurance Services. Just popping in today to respond to a couple of requests, questions, confusion about a specific issue. And whenever I get multiple requests like this, I think it's just a really important part of my job to give back and help people understand the complicated, confusing, frustrating world of insurance. And I get it. I'm a consumer too. And I look at it from my side as the agent, how confusing it would be if I wasn't an agent. So this is why I do these videos. So as we all know, Houston has gone through a terrible, terrible time in the last month due to the hurricane that we had that came through. And there's been a lot of questions about claims and those sorts of things. And as a result of that, there's quite a few homes now that have been repaired and people have decided it's time to go, move somewhere. And some of these homes are being put on the market as a vacant home. And this is a very important piece of information that you need to hold on to if you are selling a home and it's been your primary home that you've had insured as your primary home, and then you move out of this home, right? You cannot leave the current insurance policy that is on your primary home with you living in it. You cannot keep that policy in place because there is a very specific line of wording for, I don't know if it's 100% of the Texas policies, but it's got to be 96% of the Texas policies, which specifically says vacant homes are not insured. So if you have a homeowner's policy and you put it up for sale and you move out of it and you don't remain in it while it is for sale, it becomes a vacant home, which is therefore not included in your policy. And if there is a claim on your property when it is vacant and it hasn't been rewritten to the appropriate type of insurance, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to have coverage because carriers want a very specific type of policy written for a vacant home. Because think about it. You've gone from a property where somebody is there living in it to take care of it, maintain it for security purposes, and then you take that same piece of property and now nobody's there. Nobody's there watching it every day. Nobody's there every day maintaining it. So it becomes a completely different risk. And so the carriers are not going to pay you claims on a vacant property unless you have the right type of insurance on that vacant property. Now in the Texas market right now, it is a rough market, really rough market. And there are not nearly as many carriers that are offering a vacancy policy than a year ago even. So many of those carriers have eliminated this type of policy. So your pool of possibilities are much smaller today than they were a year ago. So I really want you to stop and think about when you're in this process of selling a house that was your primary house that is now going to be vacant. Now, if you sell it and you get a contract on the home and the closing takes, the average is 90 days, that's 3 months. Even in that 3-month period of time, if the house is vacant and you are not living in it, right? The contract, you've accepted a contract and technically you're just waiting on that contract to go through, but you have moved out of that house, you still have to change the house to have the right coverage, even for that 3-month period of time. Because it's very, very, very specific in the policies. If the house is vacant and it was your primary residence and there is no insurance on it, a homeowner's policy is not going to pay claims for theft, fire, vandalism, hail damage. It's just not going to pay at all because there is an exclusion that specifically excludes vacancy. So even during that 90-day period that you're waiting on a closing, if nobody's in the house and the house is vacant, It must be written into the appropriate and correct type of policy for you as the owner to have coverage on it while you're waiting for the sale to go through. I know it's frustrating, but it is what it is. And if your current agent is not telling you this, then they're not being completely honest with you. You don't want to have a claim, God forbid a fire or a terrible windstorm come in, then you go inspect your home and it's damaged, and then all of those repairs you have to do because you've accepted a contract on the house. That would be on you. So this is a very, very important piece of information when it comes to selling your house and keeping your houses with the right policy during the period of vacancy. You need a vacancy policy. So I hope this helps. I hope this clarifies your questions. If it doesn't, you know how to reach me. Just send me a message and I'm happy to reach out to you and specifically explain in more detail if you need it, or whatever other questions you have. I am happy to do that. This is Carrie. I'm the owner of KDS Insurance Services in the Houston area, in the northwest corner of Houston. And I hope you have a splendid rest of your day. God bless.